but it's for Miss Aguilar. But she's not going to be alone in the hot seat because we're going to give it to everybody with a slight twist. Miss Aguilar, I see Crossroads 2 becoming an organization that is unnecessarily litigious, hostile toward practical development and developers, and condescending toward city staff and government. Since you are president of Crossroads 2, is a vote for you a vote for no feasible growth or redevelopment in northwest Chula Vista?
Was that a loaded question or not?
Not at all.
Look, Crossroads 2 is pro-growth, but pro-quality growth. Most of the projects that have come before the City of Chula Vista Council have been supported by Crossroads 2 because they've been good projects in appropriate locations. And I know that there are a lot of people who would like to spin that another way, but the facts are the facts, and those are the facts with regard to Crossroads 2. As a candidate, I believe in and support growth, appropriate growth, quality growth in the correct locations. I support the general plan, which calls for an additional 100,000 people in the city of Chula Vista by the year 2020. Growth is okay, but I support good growth, quality growth, where appropriate.
All right, we're going to go down to the end with Mr. Vinson, but for the rest of you, I'll ask the question this way. Mr. Vinson and the other candidates. Do you think that Crossroads 2 is unnecessarily litigious and hostile towards practical development? And are they, or a vote for a candidate from Crossroads 2, a vote against development or redevelopment in Chula Vista, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think that Crossroads 2 has stood in the way on many development projects in our city. Some of the times that they've stood in the way have been good, and others have not been so good. And do I think that a vote for Pat would what was the rest of it? What was the? Give it to me again.
Do you think that voting or working with Crossroads 2 or voting for a vote for a candidate from Crossroads 2 is a vote against development and redevelopment in Chula Vista?
I would hope that the organization of Crossroads 2 is just not Pat Aguilar, although she does yield a big hand in the Crossroads 2 organization. But they've done some good things in our city, but they've also slowed down some progress. And you know, it seems that they have a lot of knowledge in the planning side of our community, or a community, and it seems to sort of chisel away at each project to the point where the developer or the project just goes away from the city. I don't know whether it's because of Crossroads or because the project itself just wasn't the right project for the city, but nonetheless, it has some projects have gone away, and some, of course, may have gone away necessarily. Thank you.
Ms. Margaret.
Boy, you know, I don't know what goes on in the conversations that's not in City Hall or that don't take place in front of the City Council. So I don't know what's going on. I do go to City Council meetings and I perceive what I see as some hostility. But again, I don't know what's transpired to cause that. I think Crossroads 2 does have the reputation of being obstructionary of development. Again, I think that at times that's appropriate and at other times it's not. I don't think a vote for anybody who is supported by Crossroads 2 is against development. I think it might be a little more tedious to get development going. But not knowing all the facts, I wouldn't want to condemn either group either way, because I don't think I know all the facts. I don't think we have any idea of what's transpired sometimes. All we see is the little piece that happens in the City Council meetings. So that's my answer.
Mr. Castaneda.
Well, I don't always agree with Crossroads, and sometimes I do agree. But the fact is I have been a member of this council for over 3 years, and when we talk about litigious nature, I don't believe that Crossroads has ever sued anybody, clearly not the city. So I think that that's a mischaracterization of their efforts and their activities within the city. I think also when we talk to certain people and they complain about Crossroads, or they complain about Northwest, or they complain about Southwest, I think that those folks, for some reason or another, believe that community activism and neighborhood empowerment only happens in Chula Vista. Ladies and gentlemen, neighborhood groups exist and are active in virtually every city in this county, in this state, and in this country. It is the right of people to be involved in their neighborhood and speak their mind. It is our duty as elected officials to understand what reality is and what is best for the city. That's what you all elect us to do, and that's the decision we make. But frankly, would I like to have a situation where we have nobody from neighborhoods speaking out about something that's bad and that's good? Certainly not. I think Crossroads is a very, very important part of this community, and I support their existence, and I usually like to hear what they have to say.
Ms. Ben Susan.
Well, I heard a planning commissioner state quite rudely and arrogantly that every project a developer brings to Chula Vista is killed by community groups. This couldn't be further from the truth. Crossroads, Northwest, Southwest Civic Association, these groups provide an important avenue for participation in government by members of the public and residents here. And just from my experience on Northwest Civic Association, I have to tell you how many times that we meet with developers, embrace projects, give early feedback. This like Councilman Castaneda said, this is something that's common in many cities. We don't have neighborhood planning groups like in San Diego. We don't have neighborhood councils. So these community groups provide an important service and don't sue the government and are not obstructionists. I think that's just fear-mongering.
I'd like to respond to Mr. Vinson.
As well you may. 30 seconds, Ms. Aguilar.
Mr. Vinson, you said that Crossroads has opposed many projects. Besides Esplanada, which was a project that was totally out of character with Chula Vista, name one.
Mr. Vincent?
Well, actually, let me go back to non-projects. But let's go to the urban core specific plan specifically. You've certainly opposed that, and you threatened litigation with the city if they didn't take a review of that urban core specific plan. And you further then changed and said that, and I'm looking at your draft memo here, so correct me if I'm wrong. But you said that if the city would change 10 of the items on the urban core specific plan, 10 specific items that the Crossroads would in fact sign off and look at the urban core specific plan more positively and go forward with it. Ben.
All right, we'll allow Ms. Aguilar a response, and then the others, if you want to make a quick comment on this, and we'll move to the next question. Ms. Aguilar.
You notice when I asked Mr. Vincent to name a project that we had opposed, except for Esplanada, he couldn't name any. With the urban core plan, we said we would support the plan if the following 10 changes were made. Those changes were not made, so we're on record as being against the urban core plan, and we think for very good reason.
All right, anybody else want to rumble on this one? All right. Thank you.
I just want to point out that it
Ms.
was,
Ben Susan.
it was not just community groups that were opposed to the Esplanada project. I know one developer, for example, Kevin O'Neill, who owned property that would be in the shadow of Esplanada, who was disturbed by the project, to say the least, and testified on many occasions.